People seem to think that spirituality is butterflies and tie-dye colors or this sort of carefree hippie persona. And that is, that is a sort of a byproduct of liberation, as the colors become brighter, you start to see life as a beautiful happening. But the fundamental part of spirituality is to go inward, and it's to what Terence McKenna would call to dissolve boundaries. It's to dissolve these boundaries, to dissolve all of these things within ourselves, these false narratives within ourselves, and to become alchemists so that we can take these false ideas, these false identifications that keep us anchored and chained to some lower aspect of who we are, and to transmute that into gold, into spiritual diamonds. It's like going through a coal mine or something, like some hellish coal mine. But if you really take the time to polish yourself, there's diamonds lurking in the shadows of your depths. For me, when I think of the essence of spirituality, I find sacrifice is such a big part of freeing yourself. And you may have heard people call it or use the phrase the spiritual shadow or shadow work. They call it shadow work. Prabhupada once said that the spiritual path is easy, but it's not simple. And this really rings true because we really have to examine our patterns, our unconscious patterns, the shadow self, the part of ourself that we don't even really recognize because it's so inherently a part of us. The opposite side of the light spectrum is the traumas, is these experiences that we've gathered through life that keep us bound to an aspect of ourselves that is like a lower part. It's not even really who we are at all. It's just sort of a narrative that was given to us. We're going to talk about the importance of spiritual shadow work. It's not necessarily a phrase I use, but I see it being tossed around a lot. And I think it's important and it's true. It's true to recognize these parts of spirituality and the hard work of spirituality. It's not just this sort of, mountaintop type of thing. It's carrying yourself up the mountain to get to that place of stillness. So, what is the shadow? The spiritual shadow is the parts of us that remain hidden. It's the flashes that we experience in life that completely pull us away, like anger, lust, jealousy, greed. Ultimately just this inclination we have naturally to be pulled towards our desire. They're sort of the magnetic habits that are magnetizing us to some conveyor belt of desire. The condition of the human, like the natural human condition, is to view the world through this projection of trauma that we blanket over reality, of our own experience that we carry with us through life. So all the things that people have told us we are, all the things that we feel that we aren't because maybe society pushes a certain lifestyle that is very hard to live up to, beauty standards and all this stuff. So we're really battling with a lot of symbolism here that we might not even realize that's what it actually is. We take on a lot of these insecurities and a lot of these narratives as being who we are or who we aren't, but it's not true. It's not true. These things are sort of, they're given to us. So we need to dissolve these boundaries. We need to go inward and examine these shadow aspects and shine light onto these parts of ourselves so that we can become illuminated, so that we can become enlightened in these areas of ourselves and not let them dictate and carry us through life. We don't want to be like stumbling or sluggish, just carrying ourselves through some mundane existence. Reality is a mystery. The fact that you are alive is a mystery. You're on a little planet, you're a little creature. All these sort of things that we tell ourselves are just stories. So the shadow, examining the shadow, is about illuminating the mystery. It's about saying, wait a second, look at who you actually are, because who you actually are is so beyond the problems that we identify with that it makes those seem silly. And this, it's a practice. This isn't going to be something that you just, it's not like you get to the mountaintop and then all of a sudden everything is perfect. You get to the mountaintop and you have the realization that all the struggle along the way was just temporary. But you still have to struggle on the way back down, And, but there's going to be those moments at the peak where you remember it, and you can, through practice, learn to hold on to that and use that as your torch or as your candle that sort of lights the way. So the reason it's important to do this type of work, to do this type of self-examination, is because it releases these stories. It helps us, it allows us to rewrite these stories, because we can, with attention and intention, we can play with life, we can shape it. And maybe people call this manifestation or the law of attraction, but really it's practical. It's just about reclaiming power. And through this reclaiming of power, you can see life as an expansive horizon of possibility, of opportunity. There's a few methods that are very practical and you can start with right now. And that first one would be being mindful, is trying to catch yourself out when these flashes take over. So for example, next time you find yourself in like a crowd or like a crowded place, you can examine your thoughts, because we're like a fish in water. When we are in our thoughts, we don't realize that they're just thoughts. Fish don't realize that they're in water because they're in water. So we don't realize that we're in the thoughts because we're in the thoughts. So when we can take a step back and you can look at the thought and be like, that's just like some muddy water. I can just not even pay attention to it and it will settle by itself. So yeah, watch how you feel when you're in these situations of being in a crowded place. Do you feel insecure? Do you find yourself being judgmental? Just watch your thoughts when you walk through. You'll find yourself being like, oh, fuck that guy for being loud, or any kind of, oh, that kid is screaming, or any kind of situation. Oh, it's gross that kid just wiped his snotty ass nose and now he's pushing the buggy in the grocery store. Whatever it is, watch these judgments come up. Or do you feel, oh, am I moving weird? I don't know what to do with my hands. Why are these people looking at me? Fuck these guys. We all go through this. This is so normal. But catch yourself out and laugh about it. Be able to grab it and be like, oh, there it is. There's this. And you can trace, which takes us to the next step, is to trace the source of this. This is a Vedantic practice. Actually, it's called neti neti. I think it's Sanskrit. This means not this, not this. So when you have these thoughts come up, you can say, is this who I am? It's not who I am. Is this a fundamental part of myself? Because ultimately you can only lose what's not you, right? You can drop it. Drop whatever things you can drop. And if it goes, then it's obviously not you. So through this process of neti neti, when we find ourselves being judgmental, we find ourselves being insecure, when we find ourselves being lustful, depressed, anxious, anything, we can relieve these things, we can relieve these flashes through mindfulness, and then through catching it, and then through saying, is this who I am? Is this me? Neti neti, not this, not this. This feeling of anger is not me. This feeling of sadness is not me. This is just a flash. It's temporary. And by realizing that, oh, this isn't even me. This is just a thought. Then you can just drop it. and I'm not making it seem like it's easy. You know, this is a practice. This is a hard thing to do. But through mindfulness and through this intention of, is this me? No, I'm not this anger. I'm not this. Am I even my name? Am I Dakota? No, that's a temporary thing too. So you can actually use this as a very deep spiritual practice to try to find something eternal within yourself. Try to find the consciousness. They say things like, what you are looking for is what's looking. So try to find the thing that is seeking. Seek the seeker that's seeking. Because ultimately you are the page, the pen, the poem, the poet, the inspiration. You're all of it. So through these practices, you can start to grab a hold of that through going through and releasing these traumas, through your shadow work, through examining your shadow. And then the next one is chanting. Chanting will help ease the chaos of your mind, and it will harness all of that to a single point. Actually, mantra, I always say it wrong. All my Indian subscribers correct me. Mantra, man in Sanskrit means mind. Tra means to deliver. So it's actually a beautiful word. It's right in the word. It's implied. Mantra means to deliver you from the mind. So through the repetition of sacred syllables, Om Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Rama Rama, Rama Rama, Rama, Om Namah Shivaya, Jesus Christo, Hallelujah, whatever it is, whatever your mantra is, whatever makes you feel connected, repeat this. Ram Dass used to say, I am loving awareness. I am loving awareness. I feel angry right now, but I am loving awareness, because that's an internal part of myself. So you want to find something that symbolically represents that eternal part of yourself, and you want to chant it out of you. I am loving awareness. Doing this, whenever I feel anxious, whenever I feel mad, I repeat these Hare Krishna, and it brings me out of that. You know, after a few minutes, I find myself just riding this wave, and I'm not even thinking about anything anymore. I'm just in the mantra. So this is an important method to in this journey to the shadow self and doing shadow work. And the next one is very practical, and it's just journaling. Journaling is such an important practice that people overlook because it just seems, I don't know, reminds you of school or something. But journaling is just start writing. Because like I said earlier, we're in our thoughts in the same way that fish are in water. We don't even realize that it's just a thought. It's not real. Journaling will give you a doorway, a visual storyboard of the contents of your mind. And you can say, oh my God, like, look at this vomit that is just like lingering and echoing in this emptiness that's just in my head. So through like journaling and these other things that we talked about, you will be able to release these contents out of your mind. You will be able to see these patterns of your trauma. Again, it's back to becoming mindful. It's about recognizing these habits, these magnetic habits, these patterns. Journaling is a great way to do that, because even if it's just writing a story, you know, you can write it however you want. You can characterize it. You can make it into a whole world that symbolically is the contents of your mind. And then look at it as a spiritual practice and say, okay, what does this mean? Why am I thinking this? And then through these methods, trace it. You can trace it to different things, and it's almost like an ayahuasca experience naturally, you know. It's almost like manifesting the psychedelic experience through natural means, because the ayahuasca experience will do the same thing. It'll visibly play a story out for you of your traumas so that you are able to symbolically process them in a different way. And through processing them in a different way, it's like you're not even in it anymore. It's like I'm a different person looking at this story now, so I can't even relate to it in the way I was, because now I see it from a new perspective. Journaling, neti, mantras, mindfulness, all of these things are that. It might not be as quick as just taking a sip of some earth sludge from the Amazon, but it will deliver itself. These are tried and true methods that have survived the test of times. So yeah, this is my name is Dakota. This is my video about shadow work. I hope you got something interesting out of this. there is no destination. I might be able to talk about it nice, but I have a lot of work to do myself, and we all do. Life is a work in progress, and there's never a finished mold that we're going to be happy with, because like the universe, we are forever changing, morphing with the environment, with everything that's happening. Time changes, and we change with it. So yeah, make sure to follow me, Dakota Wint. You can subscribe, turn on notifications. I have a podcast, A Place for Humans podcast, where I talk about stuff like this all the time. I have interesting guests on, like Alex Gray, like Tommy Chong from Cheech and Chong, like C Mac, Crip Mac, the notorious gangster from Los Angeles, California. I've had some interesting people, is what I'm trying to say. So you'll find any kind of thing that fancies you over there. A Place for Humans. And yeah, thanks for watching. Om Shanti Shanti.
Thank you for listening to A Place for Humans podcast. My name is Dakota Wint, and you can listen to full episodes of A Place for Humans anywhere you listen to podcasts. Spotify, Apple Podcast, wherever. And please head over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a positive review. That really helps. Anyways, catch you next episode.
A Place for Humans.